Welcome to the Unsold Hot Lots webinar. I'm David Humphreys, and I have to say to those who've not heard me speak before, Alison being one of them, that I'm not really politically correct or very politically correct, and invariably I upset somebody. So if you feel offended by anything I say, I apologize in advance. Talk to me afterwards, I'll tell you why you shouldn't be offended anyway. Okay. This is being recorded, and the recording goes up onto YouTube. So, and it will last about an hour. Please ask questions as we progress through the webinar. Don't wait till the end. As I say, we'll wrap it at 9 o'clock. And it is the first part of a number, well, there's certainly 2, if not 3, webinars on unsold lots. I know people who buy only unsold. In other words, they don't buy in the auction. They buy what isn't sold in the auction, and they go and negotiate afterwards. So we're going to have a short run through some slides, and then we will go and look at actual properties which are sitting looking for buyers, or the majority are anyway. As I say, any questions, give me a shout. Right, first thing is the commercials, 2 of them. First of all, the main website I'm going to be working on tonight is the Essential Information Group website. And there's a special deal there for anyone that's interested. If you're interested in auctions, by the way, really membership of the EIG is essential. It's the only site that is worth dealing with, in my opinion. I'm obviously a member of it. And if you, David Sandeman, who's the MD, offers 4 weeks rather than 3 or 4 days of full access. All you've got to do is email DH16, he's using my initials, at eigroup.co.uk, and he will set that up for you so you can see what you can do with EIG. But as I said, the majority of the time tonight will be on their site. Next thing is that I run an auction masterclass, which is 28 days of interactive working with a live auction. The next one starts on April the 10th, goes through to May the 7th, and during that time we do a combination of on-location work, viewing days. There's 2 viewing days where we're going around viewing properties which are coming through an auction with Bigwoods. Then we also have webinars. There's about 9 webinars involved, where we, if we could teach you at home, we do. Otherwise, we bring you into a classroom. And normally it's $19.95. Tonight's special offer is $14.95. There's a maximum of 12 places on a masterclass. That's the maximum. I'm happy to take round a viewing on a little terraced house or a little flat, and there are 5 places available for the April 10 to May 7. When they've gone, they've gone. We don't take more than 12 people. So if you're interested, email me at buyingauctionproperty.com, and it also includes hands-on with EI Group right the way through it. We bring experts in on the webinars, so that again, it's all recorded. So at the end of the masterclass, you've done the days on location, you've done the viewings, you've been to the auction. You can buy at the auction, by the way, and you get best part of 10 hours of recordings, which everybody's been involved in. Okay, that's the end of the plugs at the beginning. We'll return to the plugs at the end as well. So to move on. Right, unsold equals very motivated vendors. As I was saying to Gordon earlier, well, before we started, people put properties into auctions because they want a fast sale. They generally speaking, they make the decision 2 months out. The catalogue comes out about a month before the auction. So 2 months after they decide to sell at auction, they've got a decision, and hopefully they've got the decision they want. In other words, somebody's bought it. And 28 days after that, generally speaking, they get their cash. So from day one to day cash in the bank, it's about 3 months. Now, if you go through estate agents, it can be a lot longer than that. And therefore, people look at auctions as a fast way of selling. What we're going to do tonight, if we just go back, the 740 properties were not sold during the month of February. And it's about 25%. A good auctioneer will be selling in the 80s% of his catalogue. A bad auctioneer, if they do exist, will be selling down in the 60s, but the majority are in the 70s. And it's about 25% of the catalogue is not sold on the day or the night. Now, I've gone through a lot of this 740, and what we're going to look at tonight are all these properties here. There's 27 altogether, if I can get through the lot. And these are all in the south. Now, in a week's time, we will repeat this webinar. We'll be looking at these through the Midlands, starting off across in East Anglia, moving through towards Liverpool, Sheffield, Liverpool. And these are all properties which are having what I would regard as investment potential. They're hot lots. And then, depending on how far we get on the 15th of March, I will go further north up into Scotland and do a three-way. Now, these are the properties which we're going to be looking at next week, except that some of them may be sold, so that they'll fall off. There's one down here in this list, which I found today was sold. It's still in the webinar. So that is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be starting down in Cornwall and moving through these properties, keeping to the south coast, and then we will get up into London and up to Stevenage, is as far north as we go tonight. And I'm working on the EIG group site. This is a picture of a map, as you can see, but I will shortly go to a map which is actually live. You'll have to bear with me because it's a bit chunky, but I'm switching from one place to another online live. Okay. Now the next thing is to look at well, that's the wrong way. Right, rule changes. It's different when you're buying unsold. First of all, the bids, and we'll look at bids tonight, or some of the bids tonight. Often the last bid is a bid off the wall, what's called a bid off the wall, which is where the auctioneer is making the bids up. And this is allowed provided he does not bid the reserve. He could go up to, but not bid the reserve. So if the reserve of £50,000 as an example, the auctioneer cannot bid 50k. He can bid 49.95, but he can't bid the 50. And after the auction, when it becomes unsold, it will be available at. That's the term that is used. Available at. They don't say this is the reserve. And you may find quite often that the available at price is the same as the last bid. There have been a number of instances which I'll tell you about that where the available at price today is the same as the last bid. And what has happened is that the auctioneers have spoken to the vendor and said, well, the last bid was X. Now that may be have been a made-up bid as well. So I'm reducing the price to X. But this is the term that's used to describe what it's available at, is available at. It doesn't say it's available at the reserve price. You'll see tonight also that there's a variety of ways that this is described by the auctioneer. There's no consistency almost. There's no sort of standard way of doing it. Then we come to the batting order. Now, invariably, if real bids are happening, there's going to be more than one person bidding, although the auctioneer can bid against you if he's still able to take bids off the wall. So you can bid, and the auctioneer then bids against you, and then you increase your bid. If you think that's happening, and it's something I show you in the masterclass, stop bidding. Don't bid against the auctioneer. That's crazy land. But he'll bid against you until, and if he's good at it, he'll bid against you until your last bid is the reserve price. And if you can organize it so that you top him out and you bid the reserve price, so he bids £49,000 and you bid 50, and he turns right, or you bid 49,500, in which case he'll turn around and say, no, I'm only accepting £1,000 bids, or so you've got to bid 50,000. Then he can say yes to it and put the hammer down for you. But he's forced you up there. So you need to recognize bids off the wall and how to avoid them. But assuming there's more than one person bidding, the batting order should be, I say the batting order, after the auction is finished and you're negotiating for the unsold lot, the last bidder should be the person who has first crack at buying the property after the auction. And if there's two of you, let's say, you're the last bidder, you get first crack, and what's called the underbidder gets the second crack at it. But, if the property has not sold in the auction, you've got lot 100, doesn't sell, the moment that he moves to lot 101 and you're interested in buying 100, go and see the back office about buying it. Don't wait until the auction ends. They're in a position now to sell that property, and you need to be in there trying to get the price down. And also be able to close instantly. In other words, you can do the deal there and then. You're not having to do anything except get money to them. But you should have come to the auction in any event with money or with the ability to transfer money to them. And that's what seals the deal, that 10%. So if you can get the 10% to them, then you'll get the deal. There was one occasion where I bought a property in Wales and I got the numbers wrong, and the property wasn't sold, and I was buying a property that I'd got the yield wrong. So on the basis that I wanted a 10% yield as an example, and it had a 5,000 rent on it, I could afford to bid £50,000. And I said I got the yield wrong, so I didn't bid as much as I could bid. And I phoned them up the following day and said, where are we on this? I made a mistake. And they said, well, it's gone. We've accepted another offer. I said, where are we on the offer? Have you exchanged contracts? He said, no. Cash is coming into the office. And I said, okay, fine. So if I get the cash to you, do I get the property? He said, yes, if you get the cash to me before the other guy gets into the office, the deal's yours. I literally dropped the telephone on him and made a call to my bank and said, please transfer X to this auctioneer. I phoned him back and said the money's on its way to you. It should be with you the next 3, 4, 5 minutes. Bingo. And I beat the guy coming in with the cash in the car. So I got the deal. And you've got to move that quickly. Money counts. Cash on the nail counts. That's when you've got a deal. So whereas when you go to an auction, you're bidding up, the higher you go, the better chance you've got of winning. Now when you're negotiating afterwards, you're looking to negotiate down, not up anymore, although you may be forced up by somebody else coming along. And therefore you also want to look at the auction history, which I'll show you in a minute on the EIG site, because it may be that your seller has tried to sell this property 2 or 3 times. The more he's tried to sell it, the more motivated he's going to be to do a deal. So this is a bit of information. If you can see that it's been listed over 2-3 times in the last 6 months, the seller's getting desperate, But when you buy post-auction or unsold, auction conditions apply to the deposit. It will remain at 10%. To any premium the auctioneers are charging, that remains, and your completion date of 28 days, which is generally the case, remains as well. So all three of these things go on. You're told you're buying under auction conditions. So having had your offer accepted, it is assumed that you looked at the legal pack. It's assumed that you've made all the due diligence inquiries that you need to make to be able to make a decision. You can't turn around afterwards and say, terribly sorry, I didn't realize this, got this wrong. Can you let me off the hook, please? The answer is no, you can't be let off the hook. It's as though you bought under auction conditions. It's as though the hammer's dropped on your bid, okay? And this is the way it generally works. They've got some new system now where you can get you put a deposit down, which you will lose if you pull out. But I'm talking about conventional auctions rather than what are called the new auctions, the new way of doing it. So don't feel that you're getting out of the auction into the way estate agents work. You're not. You're still working under auction conditions. You're still bound by an auction contract, not an estate agent contract, where you say subject to contract. Doesn't exist in the auctions. You do a deal, there's no subject to anything. And if you got it wrong, if you missed something, and I'll show you something again tonight, no excuse. You've made the deal, you go through with it, even if you got it wrong, Okay, so I think that's all I've got to say on, yes, that is. Right, now I'm going to move online, and what we're going to do now is go and get...
Could I interrupt for a moment?
Please.
The question, yeah. When you talked about the batting order, or taking bets off the wall, is there any way of knowing that that's happening other than just guessing at the auction or what?
Yeah, there is. In fact, you're coming on the April course, aren't you, Gordon?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I'll show you when we get there how you see it. Broadly speaking, you're looking for two things. First of all, you need to be where the auctioneer is looking at the crowd. Okay, right. And you should see some movement. The next thing is, how fast is the auctioneer going through it? If he's calling the bid every second or two, he can't pick it up that fast. He's going too quickly. Bids take time. And he points in one direction, then switches to another direction, and nothing happens in the group. You think, well, this is a bit odd. Who is it? You should be able to see it. Okay, people don't necessarily wave their hands or wave their catalogue around, but you should be able to. I'll show you when we do the auction in the April thing. I mean, big ones take bids off the wall all the time. I mean, it's crazy, absolutely crazy the way they've bid it up. If you've got any idea, you need to be pulling out. Anyway, what we're looking at now is the EIG site, as I said, and we start down here, and this is we're now live online. So if I open this up, and this is a bit chunky, this is a property which has come through, here we go, and this is came through the auction in the 16th of February with Fox & Co., Fox & Son. It's unsold, and you've got to refer to the auctioneer. Now, I've tried to get hold of Fox to find out what the price is, but what we've got here, it had a guide price of £100,000 on it. And what I like about this is that it's unmodernized, so you've got a possibility of doing it up. It's also a repossession. AMG are receivers, And so we know we're dealing with a repo, and we're dealing with an unmodernized property as well. More than that on this property I can't tell you. I think I've got, hang on a second, I've got some notes. No, that's it. You've got legal pack here. But we've got about 27 properties I want to try and get through, so we're going to move on fairly quickly. So I go back and move on to the next one. Now this is where it is a bit chunky, and there's not a lot I can do about it. So we go to Plymouth, and here we've got a property which is unsold at £128,000. That was the last bid, okay, unsold last bid. Again, it's unmodernized and it is let. Now, you've got an income here of £8,140. So that means that it is, we don't have a price, so we can't get to a yield. But here we've got a property that is unmodernized, another property unmodernized. It's this terraced house here, by the way. And it doesn't look too bad inside. Don't have a legal pack. The first property I'm interested in looking at is the next one. And go back here. This is where it takes its time to get the map back up. Torquay. Right. Now this property is quite interesting because we've now got some detail on this property. Again, mortgagees are selling it, so it is a repossession. Last bid was £80,500. It is available £82,000, and it is let. If we go to the legal documents, it doesn't mention letting at the front end, but it is let. We've got an AST here. So we open up the AST and we find that we've got a rental on it of £5,400, I think it is. So you've got £450 a month, which is 5,400, which gives us a yield of 6.6%. So if you're after a property, if 6.6% is okay, here is a property in Torquay. It's very important when you're buying AST let properties that you have a good look at this tenancy agreement to make certain that it's straightforward and protects you. Now, what I wanted to show you on here, though, on the legal pack, is the state of the property. And it's in the EPC. Now, if we open up the EPC, which I always do when I'm looking at properties, it is horrible. Look at this. The current EPC is F31. After 2018 and 2020, depending on whether it's a new tenant or an existing tenant, you won't be able to let this property because it's got to be E or above. Now this tells you all the work that needs doing to the property to get to raise its energy efficiency. So you've got some money to spend on this property. The reason why it's even got to E, by the way, to F rather than be down in the G, is because they've got energy efficient lighting in it. So you go out and buy 100 quid worth of lighting, depending on how many lights they've got, stick it in the outlets, and they've got 5 stars on a property which is horrible. That gets you off the bottom. If it wasn't for that, they wouldn't score anything. And unfortunately, energy efficient lighting doesn't provide heat. It does provide light, sort of, but doesn't provide heat. Always look at these EPCs. You've got money to spend on this property if you buy it, even though it's under tenancy. Come 2020, you've got to raise the EPC level. Okay. So let's go back. Where have I got to? Right here. I can close that down now. I don't know why this is so slow. Torquay we've done. Now we're going to move through to Chard. Oh, this has been sold. Now, this was available yesterday, but it sold after the auction. They've sold it today. And this is an example of how fast you've got to move. 23rd of February was the auction day, countrywide in Exeter. This came through as unsold. Today they wrapped it. Today they wrapped it up. And this nice terraced house has sold, so it's no longer available. If you're going to get into buying unsold, you've got to move fast. You need a solicitor who will get you through exchange in a day or two, literally. You haven't got time to wait. You can't do searches. If you want to do searches, you've got to insure them. Literally, the good deals fly out the window. Fly out the window. So this is the only sale out of all these properties which I'm going to look at tonight. This is the only one that says it's been sold. I wish I could speed this a little bit up. Okay, so we're now moving on to Chichester. Chichester. £199,000 was the last bid on this unmodernised property, and nothing more to say about this property that strikes me, other than it obviously needs sorting out. I can look at the catalogue entry, which will give us more information. It's got a rear yard. Period terrace has proven letting investment. And I don't know whether I've got the EPC is D, so it's quite good. Quite good. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to if anybody's got any idea how I can make this go faster, let me know. Oh, yes. I thought you might be interested in buying Beach Hut. This is coming through the auction. Unsold, but it is available at £16,000. Lovely view. Lovely view. So, if you fancy a beach hut, all mod cons, if the shadow of the photographer, and a nice view. There you go, 16 grand buys you a beach hut in Goring by Sea, Worthing. I thought you might be amused at that. You never know what's coming through the auctions.
Quite cheap, actually.
Sorry?
That's quite cheap. They're usually about 40 grand. Some resorts are about 40 grand.
Well, going back to it, I looked at prices. I assume that they're not talking about, hang on. This is Beach Hut number 38. When I looked at property prices, they've got these aren't beach huts, are they?
No, the houses on the front.
£500,000 for a beach hut.
Yeah, no. No, those are proper houses.
Oh, that's all right then. It was a bit of a shock the first time I saw that. Okay. Anyway, so there you are. 16 grand buys you a beach hut in Worthing. No. That's where I was with the beach hut, wasn't it? Yeah. Now we go to... This is interesting. £65,000. Prices are a bit cheaper here. Gets you the top floor here in Folkestone. Now, there are 4 floors, and it's power of attorney is selling it. So he obviously wants the money for something. Maybe the owners are, I don't know, care home, in jail. No idea. But it's under a POA. Now, looking at property prices, I think, POA, yes. If we go to the catalogue entry, they give an indication of rent on this property at 5,100, previously let at £5,100. And it's available at £65,000 today. I've spoken to the agents. So it's a 7.8% gross yield on this, if yield is of interest to you. It's in need of some improvement. It's got a good view. And what I wanted to show you are property prices. Now, it's called the top floor flat, but there are only 4 floors. And flat 4 here sold for 56,000 in 2013. It also sold for 30,000 in 2011, flat 4 to the parade, which is what we're talking about. Flat 4 to the parade. It's kind of a very checkered history. Back in 2003, it sold for 44,500. So we've gone from 44,500 in 2003 to £65,000 today, passing through 30,000, drop there, up to 56,000 in 2013, and now they're looking for 65,000 on it. So given the number of times it's been sold, I'd look at it very carefully. Try and find out why it's got such a checkered history. But there it is. As I say, 1, 2, 3, 4. I assume it's this top area here. And that's producing a potential gross yield of 7.8% or maybe higher. Maybe higher. I don't know what the local housing allowance is.
So can I ask a question there then, David?
Yes, please.
Yeah. If it's been in and out of auction like that, what does that indicate? Does it?
I don't know. It may be that the common parts about it. I mean, there won't be a lift up there, will there? Well, I would doubt it in this building. Mm-hmm. I would doubt this building has a lift in it.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, no, it won't have, I'm sure.
So it could be. Sorry, I didn't mean to lose a picture of it. It could be that internally you've got bad access. Let's get back to the picture.
Because obviously, if it's being sold at auction all the time, there's perhaps something wrong with it that's not evident when people have bought it in the past, and as they become evident, they have to get rid of it, sort of thing. I don't know. It's slightly
curious. You've got these two gables, and then you've got the roof between the two. You've got chimneys up there as well. Whereas these are much better flats. I mean, they've got flat walls to them. You're going to be walking around under a roof up here. I don't know. These aren't necessarily auctions, by the way. The auction history on it is this history here.
Oh, I see. Right.
I'm just looking at how often it was sold.
Right.
It may have gone through the auctions.
This is a short lease as well.
Say that again?
This is a short lease as well.
Yes, that's the other point on it. It's got POA for sold prices.
It's not that, it was 99.
It's got
1989.
It's got 45 years left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a short lease.
So it is quite short lease.
This is the auction history on it.
Right. Okay, I was getting confused there. I see. Yeah. Yeah.
Top floor sold 56. That. Yeah, there's two things: auction history and sold history. It's a short lease, so the value is dropping unless you get a new lease. I wouldn't buy this without a new lease. 99 years, commencing 89.
To get a new lease, is it possible to arrange that before you buy it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you arrange the terms as well. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost an arm and a leg.
Right.
Yeah. But as I said, it may be something to do with the common parts, the access. You could find the access very difficult because you're going right up into the roof space. I mean, this would have been servants' quarters at some point in time. Domestic servant quarters. Okay.
The other thing is, I imagine a lot of people who want to retire to the coast. They're quite elderly, so they don't want to walk up 4 flights of stairs every day, do they? You know.
Yep. Right. Okay, so now we've done that, folks, so we're going to come across to this one, I think is the next one. Yes, this is 350. There's no comps on this at all. It's a detached bungalow. It's executors. This is a probate sale. This is where I would knock £1,000 off or more, depending on how many beneficiaries there were to the will, because they all knew Granny was going to die, or Grandpa, or whoever it is. I love these things. Increasingly, executors go through the auctions because they don't want the price challenged by anybody afterwards, that they told their mates about it and the guy's got a fantastic deal. So they need to be very careful. Okay, let's move on. Now the next property is quite interesting. It's this one, I think. Now this property is being sold by the Salvation Army, and I have never seen the Salvation Army as a vendor in an auction before. Unmodernized, terraced house, and it's available for $235,000. It's the whole house in Maidstone. Tidy house. So in need of modernisation. Salvation Army Housing Association is the vendor. Note here that you've got a bathroom on the ground floor, I'm always looking for that, a nice terraced house with a bathroom on the ground floor that I can move up to the first floor, adds value. So if I was looking for this property, I want to make certain that having fixed it up, I can remortgage it up to 85% and let it and get all my money out. It's a tidy property. It's substantially built as well. People like bay windows. So let's move on into London, where prices get more expensive. Quite often, unsold properties are not sold because people are scared of them. No, this one, hang on.
Which people are scared of them?
People sitting in the auction rooms.
Oh.
I'll show you a couple. I think we can sell it. 138. What is that? Hang on a second. This one I've brought in because it's unmodernized, being sold by a housing association. And there's always a possibility of putting another floor on this. Increasingly, people take because bungalows have a huge footprint compared with other properties. So you simply take the roof off, go up a floor, and put the roof back on again. Generally speaking, planning allows for it. So that's why I've included this as available at 305,000 in West Malling. But do think about putting another floor onto a bungalow if you're into developments. Now, one of the property I wanted to show you is this one across the water. I'm going to jump over here. This is a property which is being wrecked, and it's now being repossessed by the council, and it is fire damaged, and it is also vandalized, and it's on Canvey Island. They want £500,000 for it. No, they're up to 382,000 at the moment for it. They're wanting about 500,000. No, sorry, it's worth 500,000 fixed. It's worth 500,000 fixed. But it's being smashed to pieces. The person that set fire to it was the owner. So no insurance.
How do you know that?
I spoke to the agents.
Is the owner in jail? Is the owner in jail or something?
Yeah, owner's in jail, as far as I know. And spoke to the agents, and it's been like this for 7 years.
I see.
What you think is broken windows is all this is broken, smashed windows. They've boarded up the bottom. I mean, it's a substantial property on Canvey Island. Bit out of my territory.
The only problem with that is when the guy comes out of prison, he might sort of come back and be slightly annoyed at you for living in his house. I mean, I don't not quite
talking
sure
about setting fire to houses. I had a client who let her property to a housing association, and she had no control over who they let it to. And she also had an insurance policy which said she couldn't do that. She couldn't let it to a housing association, but she didn't read the small print. And the housing association housed an arsonist who'd just been let out of jail. And yeah, you guessed it. He set fire to the house and she burnt it down. And she came to claim on the insurance, and they walked away. She left with a pile of bricks.
Goodness me.
And blackened bricks at that. Right. Let us move on to a couple of other things that are quite interesting. Here we go. Have I been to Dartford or not? I don't know if I've been to Dartford or not. What 66? This is just a straightforward little terraced house in Dartford coming in at 270,000. I mean, the prices down here, where is Alison? I mean, these prices, if you're working up in Liverpool, I mean, you could buy a street out in Liverpool for £270,000. Not one house.
I think that'd be slightly excessive, but yeah, 2-bedroom terraces, depend on the area, 50 to 80.
Yeah. Well, I can remember you could buy a street for 20,000 a pop. Anyway, the prices down in Kent are huge by comparison. Now, what I'm looking for is Unsold. Oh yes, you'd think here that you were buying a semi-detached house. You're not. You're buying the first floor for £280,000, lot 75. Again, it's unmodernized, but all you're getting is the top. 99-year lease, or 1,000-year lease rather. Now, the next one I want to look at, which if I can find it is interesting, is must try and find a way of getting this faster. You guys are being very patient. I think it's this one. Lot 10. Yeah. Now here we've got a property, 17,700. The return on this is 4.7%. And once again, we've got sold history on here for some reason. We're talking about 33, and we've got 33 went for £320,000 in 2016, and 2014 went for £249,000. 249,000. So why does it keep on selling? Why is it being sold? 2014, 2 years later it's sold. Now it's come up again. What's going on with this property? Maybe perfectly reasonable, but it also gives you an indication of what the person wants out of it. They've paid £320,000 for it, and we're looking at 375,000 they're wanting now. Last bid was 355, so they're wanting a decent profit out of it. So always look at the sale history, particularly of unsold lots, because if they haven't sold, the price is wrong for starters, and maybe other people have picked something up. Maybe other people. Right. This one is what next one. Lot number one. Yeah, this has got a nasty in the legal pack. It's unmodernized, being sold by a housing association. And in the legal pack, you have got to pay costs. In the legal pack, always look for special conditions. Okay? And the EPC. EPC gives you an indication of condition, special conditions. Tell you what's going on. Now, it is a housing association. They were the people who started off this business about having the buyers pay the selling costs. Well, that's what I was advised by Bigwoods, who make a practice of it. Boop, 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 boop. Extra special conditions. Now, down here, it tells you that you have to pay where is it? I think it's 1.5%. Here we go, 1.8%. The seller has a on completion, this is number 4, on completion the buyer, you, shall pay a sum equivalent to 1.8%, which they've put in writing as well, of the sale price as a contribution to the seller's disposal costs. So you're going to be paying 3% or more stamp duty, and then you get another 1.8%. It doesn't mention VAT here, and all, does it?
They haven't elected to have VAT or use charge VAT. Oh, you mean on the charges?
Yes. That's VAT on the property. Has not made a VAT election. The seller.
Okay.
You see, these charges 1.8% would normally be subject to VAT. It's not mentioned. You've got VAT here. Their cost with a minimum of 200 plus VAT. But when that comes through, don't make the assumption that no VAT is involved. Ask the question and get a positive answer that it either is or it's not involved. Because 1.8% plus 20% VAT is quite a lot of money. Right. So here, this is the first one I've found where down south, where the housing association is looking for you to pay their or contribute to their costs. Often this is put in with a minimum sum, and seldom does it go in with a number. I increasingly find that they're putting the 1.8% like that, 8%, and leave the number out of it, and then you've got to try and interpret what exactly this means. 1.8%. Okay, fine. Right.
Up in Liverpool, we have a few housing associations who do the same, and typically they put in 2,500. But those are on properties that are under 100,000.
Yep.
So
yep.
they tend to go for a flat fee too.
It's very common with Bigwoods in Birmingham. Half the stuff that goes through there carries a vendor cost being paid by the buyer, and it's so changeable how it's handled. I mean, Clive Emerson down south won't touch it, won't allow it to happen. But there's another lot that I want to try and find. Repo, yeah, hang on a second, let's get out of here and go. Right, I'm wanting Barnard Marcus. $95. Two. Oh, that's what I've just done, isn't it? Barnard Marcus. 1, 2, right, okay. Is that one? This is a repossession, lot 95. Yeah, the reason for looking at this one is that there's an unusual clause in the legal docs. You don't see it very often, but special conditions.
Is this tenanted, David?
Yep.
I seem to, yeah.
Yep. Right. It's being sold by Mr. Riat, and but it is a repo, remember, and this is why this clause is in. Because the lenders don't want to be challenged on the price that it makes. Interesting here, the buyer acknowledges that the immersion heater hot water system for the whole building is apparently located within flat F. That's not what I was looking for, by the way. No, here we are. The buyer shall not dispose of the lot within 12 months of the completion date, so they can't sell it. You can't flip it. You can't sell this property. If the buyer does dispose of it within 12 months of the completion date in breach of the above clause, and the buyer shall, if the price paid for the lot is greater than the price that he pays for it, or the direction of the seller, or the capital home loans, the difference in value between the price paid by the buyer of this lot and the price which he sold it for. And you've got to indemnify the seller, which is capital home loans and capital home loans, for all costs and liabilities arising out. So if you were able to buy this thing because everybody in the auction room had gone to sleep, and nobody put their hands up, and you walked away with it because it is a repo, you walked away and then you flipped it and made whatever on it. I mean, what are we talking about on the guide on this? 100,000 quid. Let's assume that somebody came along and paid you £150,000 for it. That 50 grand goes to the, well, you could find yourself having to pay that £50,000, assuming that you bought it for 100, pay that 50 grand to capital home loans and or anybody else who was interested in it.
Why have they put that in? I mean, is it?
Well, because they want to cover themselves against being challenged on the price achieved. Generally speaking, at auction, these challenges don't arise, but capital home loans is covering themselves on the basis that it's gone to the auction room. We don't know who the guy is who. Where's the legal document? There it is. we don't know what sort of person Mr. Riyad is, but obviously they're nervous of this guy, Mr. Riyad. They're nervous that if anything goes pear-shaped on getting rid of this property, which they've repossessed, he'll come back and attack them. I mean, these guys are receivers, but he is still responsible. He's responsible, remember, for any shortfall. So if they sell this property below what he's mortgaged it for, which you don't know what it is, he's responsible for the shortfall. So if he could show that in fact it went through the auction, but it should have had a higher reserve price, it should have covered his liabilities, whatever. He's going to come back, and they're fearful he'll come back and attack them and try and get prove that the sale wasn't sound. It's not uncommon, where to put that sort of thing in where you feel that there may be a risk.
Does it indicate that they're selling it at a low price at all, or
no,
that they just
doesn't indicate anything other than that everyone wants to get it sold. I mean, the receivers want it sold, Capital Home Loans want it sold, and nobody's concerned about Mr. Riyad's circumstances. I mean, he could be losing everything. He could be losing his shirt off his back, and nobody would give a damn. So they're protecting themselves against that. But he does lose the shirt off his back, and then he comes looking for them because somebody bought the thing at auction, flipped it out, and made 50 grand or 10 grand or whatever. It's just a safeguard. So they're covering themselves. This is the sort of thing you find in these special conditions. This is why going through these legal packs is so important. That all you guys who buy at auction, I mean, solicitors will charge you £200, £300, £400, £500 to do this, and you can't afford to do it on every lot you buy. So you need to be able to read these things.
What does it mean lower down there where it says no title guarantee on that same page? What does that mean? No title guarantee?
It means just that. There's a guaranteed title. Well, you can insure that. You can take indemnity insurance out to protect you on that basis. He's obviously not cooperating with them, but then a lot of people who are being repossessed don't cooperate with the receivers or the lenders or whoever else. It's basically stuff you, get on with it. So there are deals. I mean, but you can insure this, indemnify the title, but I haven't had a close look at it. I always go to the exceptional special conditions and see what I'm going to find in there.
So no title guarantee, that means you might buy it and you actually don't own it. Is that what it means?
Yes. Yep. But as I say, you can indemnify, you can insure. Most of this stuff is insurable. Most of the stuff is insurable. Okay. There was one more lot I wanted to show you before we shut this down tonight, because I said that we'd be finished by 9 o'clock, and it's now 9 o'clock. If I can come up with it, I'm not quite sure where it is. If I can open up with it next week anyway. Yeah, people are leaving. Right. I think it was... No. No. Yes. I find this amusing. After the beach hut, what you're buying here for £100,000 is the roof. You with planning consent, you can extend up into the roof. So they're selling you the sky. Double roof space, 600 square feet. So that's what you buy. You see everything coming through the auctions. Anyway, okay, that brings me to the end tonight, and there it is, by the way, there's the roof, and we will be going on north this time next week, at 8 o'clock next week. We will head north towards Liverpool. Okay, so thank you very much. This has been recorded, and it will be available on YouTube, so you could go back through it. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed your company. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.